Yeah, look, we just talked about as a team that, this game can't beat us again. It can't beat us on Sunday at 1 p.m. because we're kicking off against the Chargers and have a very quality opponent coming into town. We're back at, we're at home and nothing, nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's just the next opportunity that we have to go try to get a W. I mean, that's the reality, is that we gave up a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter, essentially, and didn't get it done. Their back was against the wall, and they played like it. They played like it, and we didn't. And so those are tough ones to swallow, as you mentioned. They are. And, it's hard to move forward, but come Wednesday, we're preparing for another opponent. When the players get back in the building, we are preparing for another opponent. We got to get this tape fixed and corrected and moved on. But, I'm not worried about losing the team by any means.
And trench play, is there a way you can manufacture? I mean, I know it's the middle of the season, but manufacture improvement there, whether it's the four-man rush or the offensive line, or is that just simply like personnel? You kind of got what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's maybe a few guys that can, get some more opportunities at different, positions that, rotating guys in, keeping rushers fresh and utilize some of the personnel that we do have to be able to create. We tried obviously zero blitzing them a number of different times. That did create a turnover, especially early in the game, put a little pressure on them to make throws under duress. But, when we had to get home in some of those instances, the thing that occurred was we never made them one-dimensional even towards the end of the game. They were still running the ball, right? Like they were running it, staying balanced. They were getting 5-6 yards a chunk in the run game, which we never got them really in the second and longs. Obviously, at the end of the game, when you get them in a third and goal to go, and we have an edge at the end, at the edge, and we're not able to get home and get them down. So, hey, we all got to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, how can we or I go improve my play and my job to help this team win? There's no magic solution.
Thanks, Coach.
Gary, then to O'Halloran.
Liam, put your quarterback hat on. Can you explain why backup quarterbacks seem to have gotten this team a little bit? I know that you and your staff are only responsible for what happened this year, but the example of Browning and the example of Davis Mills, there are numerous other examples in the past, but why are the backup quarterbacks having so much success?
That's a great question. It's obviously gotten us twice this year in game-winning drive situations where those guys have been able to go the distance. There's definitely a frustration there. As sometimes as a backup, you go into some of those situations and what's the worst that can happen, right? The expectations are what they are, but Davis Mills, he performed, he produced in critical moments that we didn't. And that's got to be a killer instinct mentality of when you got him down with a backup quarterback and a couple backup O-linemen in there to go and take it. Those moments didn't happen for us on Sunday. So it's frustrating. It's definitely something that you're like, man, if Joe Burrow would have done it, or, that's one thing. But, a backup going in there and doing that. I know as a backup quarterback at one time in my career, you just go and play and you cut it loose, and there's not a ton of expectations, I guess you could say, but I don't think Davis Mills played like a backup on Sunday.
And the other thing is, I'm looking at the rosters, and NFL coaches usually have veterans as backups, guys who have been around the block a little bit. They are in all the meetings, they're in all the practices with the first-string quarterback, and they're going against the first-team defense a lot of times. So is that something to it, and that these guys have been around, like Davis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those guys, Davis Mills was like a third-round draft pick, right? I mean, he's definitely talented. I mean, there was throws that he made in that game. You think about the seam ball down to Nico Collins that Devin Lloyd's in perfect position carrying the seam, and Dewey made a break on the ball, and the ball is put in a perfect position. Nico makes a strong-handed catch. Multiple other throws that Davis made in the game that were right on the money. The 3rd and 10 backed up to the tight end across the field. I mean, that ball was put in a perfect position. So you got to give him credit and their staff credit for making those plays and having a backup quarterback be able to go in the game and really not miss a beat that way.
Thank you.
O'Halloran, followed by D-Rock.
Hey, Liam, I got two for you. First one's on Trevor Lawrence in the 2 games since the bye. Are you seeing on tape and also in person that when he's seeing that first read open, he's letting it rip more than maybe early in the season?
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. There's a few that you'd like to have back. We had Diami on a post route in the 3rd quarter, I believe it was, that we'd like to have back, that we have an opportunity there as the number 1 read to take and possibly get a touchdown or explosive. There was definitely some pressure yesterday at times that may have affected some of the number 1 or 2 reads in the progression that, but it definitely, look, we had our best day throwing the football in terms of throughout the week, best week, I meant to say, throwing the football during the week of practice. Had some moments in the game that it was positive, but ultimately we did not execute. 3rd and 4 in the 4th quarter, we run a mesh concept and we don't execute the play properly, and we don't have the receiver underneath the depth setter on the shallow, and it gets batted down in our faces. So we've got to find better ways of getting number 1 open in some of those instances, and also taking advantage of when we do.
Second one for me, Brenton Strange, eligible to return. Do you anticipate him practicing this week? And when he does return, how confident are you he can sort of really pick up where he left off?
Yeah, I think we'll open up that window this week to get him get him practicing a little bit here this week and see what that looks like Wednesday, Thursday specifically, to see how he's feeling, see how he's looking. I know he's very eager to get out there and compete and play and make an impact on our offense like he was doing before he got banged up. So, trying not to put a ton of huge expectations on him or, different pressures. It's more so just, hey, let's get you out there and get practicing again, get catching the ball from the quarterback again, to see what it looks like. We're obviously hopeful, but have to take it day to day.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
D-Rock, followed by Brent.
Hey, Liam, you've talked before a little bit about, this group has to learn how to win. But when you've had some instances earlier in the season where you made plays at the end of the game, and then yesterday when it doesn't show up with all those opportunities, is that the maddening part of building a program, I guess?
I think so. It's pretty maddening for sure. You look at Houston game 1, tough, tight, close ball game the whole way. We made a play to BT to go up. And then we obviously had the tip pick by Antonio at the end of the game to make that play, right? To make that 1 or 2 plays that needed to happen to seal the deal. And we didn't find that play yesterday. That play didn't happen. Whether we were pressing too much to make the play and didn't, to the finish, the mindset, the mentality to go take it, didn't come. We had multiple instances where the ball was up in the air, tipped, and it just didn't, go our way with those instances. So where it has in some of those other games where we were 4-1 going into this game in 1-score games, and we were back in 1 at the end, even though you're sitting there up 19 in the 4th. It became a 1-score game. We needed 1 play. We needed a stop. We needed a 3rd down conversion on offense, and those plays didn't happen. That is absolutely maddening, but it's also, this is the NFL. those things happen all the time in this league. Just so happened to be on the wrong side of it yesterday.
What is your personality more? Challenge these guys, go at them more aggressively this week after something like that, or is it more, hey, move on kind of thing? What's the way that you would like to have it approached to you as a player?
Yeah, we kind of went at it both ways in the team meeting today in terms of, guys, like, nobody cares at the end of the day, guys. We're kicking off on Sunday against the Chargers, not playing the Texans again. And we can't relive the moment. We can't change anything about the outcome of yesterday. It sucks. It's brutal. But this is the league. This is the NFL. The real adversity, the real response to gut-wrenching, tough losses like this, everything is in front of us. Like, we have every opportunity to go, win this week. Like, that's all that matters. We got to win this week. Look, you look around the league. I mean, look at all these games, right? I mean, teams are winning, then they end up losing at the end. Teams are losing, they end up winning in the end. It's who makes a play. We won 3/4 of the game. Like, let's be honest, right? We won 3/4. We didn't win the fourth, and they did, and they ended up winning the game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brent, followed by Mia.
Hey there, Liam. Do you feel like this team doesn't have enough edge yet, or the edge that at least you want them to have?
I didn't feel like we had enough edge yesterday. I think we've shown to have the edge at times. To be obviously 4-1 in one-score games going into the game, you feel like, okay, well, we've made some improvements in that area, that we've learned how to finish some games or come out on the right side, or a tip ball goes your way. I mean, you're on the right side of some of those games going into yesterday. And then you have a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter. And no, I don't think that we had our edge in the fourth quarter yesterday. No, we have them backed up. Where's the edge and mindset and mentality to keep them there and to force a punt? And on offense, you've got 3rd and 4 at about, what was that, at the 45 or so yard line, I think it was. And we don't execute a play that we execute on a pretty weekly basis. So, we didn't have our edge in the fourth quarter yesterday, and that is what's very disappointing about that game. But the beauty of this league is we have an opportunity on Sunday to regain that edge and to, hey, if we're in that moment again, let's see how we respond.
One more quick one for me. I know it's a very low percentage situation, but 7 seconds to go. What were you trying to do there?
We were running our out of bounds play where it's everybody kind of runs it. It's a level layers type play to the sideline where you get a deep out, like a 20-25 yard corner, a sail route, and a 5-yard out. So you're trying to flood the sideline, which they were playing sideline. So you're hoping to be able to get Parker. I mean, really, the killer was obviously the play before, where you get the ball to the 42-yard line with Parker on the outbreaker, which would have obviously set us up to maybe take one more shot at like outs and see if we can steal another 5 yards or so, and then attempt a game-winning field goal. And giving Cam that opportunity, you feel confident that we have a chance. With all of how the drive started with a sack and a negative play, Trevor scrambles, then we hit Parker, and we have the illegal hands to the face there on the tackle. So, desperation, 7 seconds. You're trying to get a little bit of a chunk out of bounds to the sideline before you get to Desperado.
Thanks.
We have time for 2 more questions. It'll be Mia, then to Shipley.
Hey, Liam, kind of building upon that, obviously keeping the standard is something you've preached since you got here. Do you feel like you've reached a point where, with the penalties in particular, in terms of playing time, repercussions for if you continue to rack up penalties, if there continue to be miscues, maybe that person doesn't see the bulk of the snaps perhaps that they otherwise would have?
Yeah, that is, a little bit where, it's not as much, look, Jarrian Jones, gets a PI on a 25-yard line that goes down to the 2 on a mutual hand fighting combat play. I'm trying to think about what were other killer penalties. Trayvon on the sack, where he's got to hit the strike zone. And, I don't think those are plays that I want to completely pull him off the grass for, but we've got to look at all of the positions in terms of, okay, where do we need to get more production? And we aren't going to just live in the status quo. Like, that's crazy. That's the definition of insanity, right? Is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So we are going to look at, hey, how can we get more of a rush? How can we get these guys in positions to be successful? And ultimately, we got to go make those plays in the fourth quarter for us to take the next step as an organization, take the next step as a team to close out your rival on the road in the fourth quarter. I don't care where it comes from, but it needs to happen.
And then just to kind of build upon that, because I guess the penalties I should have specified more of those pre-snap penalties that keep popping up along the offensive line. To that point, your offensive line, how would you evaluate week 1 to where they are now? Can you simply say they've been beaten up and there's pieces rotating in and out, or have you seen regression?
No, I don't. I think last week we played pretty darn good up front against one of the best D linemen in the National Football League, and Adam Butler was really good too. So that was, Houston's number 1 in the NFL, for a reason. But the false starts are those are problem plays that keep backing you up and creating longer down and distances, second and longs, third and longs, and it wasn't that loud. We just, when you got rushers that are rushing like those guys did, it gets you on skates a little bit at times as a tackle or as an offensive lineman. And, we tried to chip them a decent amount at times, and they were hunting. They were hunting. That's a good defense. It's a good DL that has made some good offenses look pretty mediocre. I think they were averaging about 14.5 points a game. We scored 20 on offense or 22 on offense and 7 with special teams, right? So we were above the average, but that wasn't good enough yesterday.
Thanks, Liam.
Last one, Shipley.
Hey, Liam, with Diame snaps yesterday, is that just kind of how you guys see the receiver room shaking out right now? Is that related to kind of his week of practice and the injuries and whatnot?
Yeah, it was more, obviously we got Jacoby came in, and Diame was ready to, he was spelling guys throughout the whole day and being rotational at both the Z and the X position. And, he just needs to continue to go to work during the week of practice, keep playing fast. And when his opportunities come his way, make those plays. And, had good dialogue with Diame last week, and he practiced hard and played faster. So we'll have to look at obviously the rotation this week, but I've trust in him to continue to make plays.